Can you hear us, Jonathan?
And
Yes, I can. Right, I did hear you, I should say.
Recording in progress.
And I'll ask everyone to rise and face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. As many of you know, possibly everyone, a member of our community passed away this week, Sean Towsley, employee of the town and Public Works Department, family man. And I would just like to observe a moment of silence in respect for Sean and his family. Okay. I would like to ask for approval of the minutes from 120 and 123. However, before somebody makes a motion, the meeting from 123 does not have a list of who was in attendance. Did you get that?
Is that the special meeting?
That was a special meeting.
All right, so.
Doesn't have the board, any of the board.
No, okay. Well, then let's just save that one and we'll do it next time. And I'll read through the minutes and just put your names on it.
Okay, all right. So we'll do the meeting of 120.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from 1/20/26.
That's interesting. It says 120/25 on our agenda. Way off. Okay, you
On the
made
minutes, it
you
does
made
say
the
26.
you made the correct motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The minutes are approved. I'm a little bit scared as I look out into the crowd here, because I see Joyce Scribner's here, and Joyce and I go way back. Wow, something must be really going down, because I was told I was in trouble.
Oh, no.
And that you were gonna come in here and straighten me out. And, okay, so let me talk. So I was told that I was in trouble and that you were gonna come in here and straighten me out. And there's a long history of that. I spent a good deal of my childhood in the Scribner house with Joyce and her husband Brian and her son David and daughter Susan. And of course, being right there next to the school, it was an easy walk. I remember we went to Camp Sunrise when I was a Boy Scout, and I rode up with the Scribners in the back seat of the car, and I always got terribly car sick. So my experience going to Camp Sunrise wasn't the best in the world, but I always continued a good relationship with Joyce over the years. And Joyce, you're the one that's in trouble. This time of year, we spend a lot of time trying to figure out who we're going to dedicate the town report to. And this year, I am really happy to say, in the presence of your children and your family, that we're dedicating the town report to you.
Do a picture.
And, yeah, well,
From that. Let's have you do it. That way I don't have to send it.
I am gonna read this into the record. Well, we have a problem right off the bat, because it says 2025 town meeting dedication. Oh, it is 2025. You're right. It's a report of 2025. Joyce Scribner, town lister, assessing assistant, and assistant town clerk. Joyce has given 45 years of dedicated service to the town of Manchester, beginning in 1980. In that year, Barbara Cross appointed Joyce as her part-time assistant town clerk. Linda Spence for our next town clerk, and Joyce continued in her capacity, fulfilling all the hundreds of tasks, large and small, required to run an efficient clerk's office in a bustling town. She helped residents seeking documents archived in the vault, sold dog and fishing licenses, registered voters, filed legal documents, and helped happy couples apply for a marriage license. In 1986, Joyce again stepped up to help the town by agreeing to run for the office of lister. She stepped into that job while still helping out anytime she was needed in the town clerk's office. And as a lister, her training and skills were invaluable in keeping all the properties in Manchester, both commercial and residential, fairly and equitably assessed. In 1990, a townwide reassessment required her to not only be in the office every day, but also to attend all the Board of Civil Authority hearings, which took place 2 nights a week until late in the evening for 1 solid year. When Manchester changed from electing listers to hiring an assessor, Joyce was appointed as assistant assessor. She was invaluable in this position because of her deep knowledge of all the properties in Manchester. After decades of serving the town in this capacity, she finally retired. Town clerk Anita Sheldon promptly hired her back as her per diem assistant town clerk. In this capacity, she is called in to help in the office anytime an extra pair of hands is needed to keep things running smoothly and efficiently. Joyce was an active member of the Vermont Assessors and Listers Association and dedicated time to serving on that board's executive board. Joyce grew up on the family farm in West Teignmouth, working alongside her father, who instilled in her an unmatched work ethic, which she carried with her into the municipal world. She married her husband, Brian, and moved with him to Manchester in 1956. She was blessed with 57 happy years of marriage. At the end of his life, Brian spent time at the Veterans Home in Bennington, and in Joyce's usual fashion, she immediately started making life better for everyone at the Veterans Home. According to the chief executive officer of the Veterans Home in Bennington, Joyce was a quiet yet formidable presence there, and I can certainly understand that. You've always gotten my attention by not being very loud. First as an advocate for her husband and then for all the residents when she became a board of trustee member. Again, Joyce stepped up to serve this community when she saw the need. Over the decades, Manchester has been the biggest beneficiary of Joyce's work ethic and willingness to serve in every capacity whenever needed. We dedicate this town report to Joyce in recognition of her exceptional contributions to our community.
A person is an island, remember that we have to work together.
That's true. Does Joyce take this?
Yes.
Thank you. Dave, I know how much you enjoyed being a public speaker. Did you have some words you wanted to say?
I don't. I'm thankful to have her and father parents, and they set a high bar.
Absolutely. How about you, Susan? I didn't ask you.
Stan was really pleased that she was assistant town clerk because she got to sign my marriage license. 2 weeks later, Barbara Cross called me up and said, did you want to resign from the voter registration here in town? Yeah, that would be good. You vote one off now. Efficient office.
Yes,
I never would have gotten into that position had it been for Frederick Stone.
I,
He was quite a character.
yeah, that's,
He didn't fight Brian Thompson.
those were the days.
Yeah. He didn't fight Brian.
Yeah. Yeah, my father served with Clyde Bryant and on the select board and Chris Sweezy. I think Stan Zecker for a period of time. There were only 3 select board members back then. I got all the stuff in my basement. I can go back and look, but I can't even remember who I've served with. I got to go back and make a list at some point because it's a lot. Anyways, thank you for all your dedicated service and thank you for being such a great second mother to me as I was growing up. And still today. All right, let's get it. Nothing better than amending the vending ordinance.
After that.
I think we've got the language that we need now.
Yeah.
Everybody get a chance to review it. What we did very quickly, we went through all the other changes at our last meeting. And one place where we ran into problem was with the forcing people to remove their trailer or their whatever it is they used to vend out of every day. And we had already given permission to some of the vendors to leave their vehicles there. And in an attempt to make it maintain that difference between a vendor and a bricks and mortar restaurant, we put the language back in to have it removed every day, and that turned into a problem. We came up with some language, and it's all vending equipment, trailers, and related items shall be portable and mounted on a wheel-based trailer or platform and able to be removed from the vending location districts upon request by the town. That shows that it would be portable, but doesn't actually have to be physically removed every day. So that's the only change that we made to the orders from the last week.
That's it. Yep.
And I would accept a motion.
So move to approve the changed ordinance for the vending ordinance as
I'll
amended.
second that.
Moved and seconded, all in favor, say aye.
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 So it's adopted tonight and on the 3rd February, so it'll be effective in 45 days, which is March 20th.
Okay, which leads us into the next agenda item, which is to possibly approve the class 2 license for hound dogs. My understanding would be we'd be approving it under the old ordinance because it's not yet in effect.
That's correct, but he would qualify under both of them, so.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion, Mr. Chairman, to approve the hound dogs application for a vendor's license.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That's 5-0. That passes. We're moving right along, Carl. The next agenda item is the Energy Committee update. And we had in our packet the report from the Energy Committee. Just, I believe, in the town.
We do, and in your package, you also have what Carl wanted you to see before.
Yep.
For the meeting. You could just sign that. I think you just adopted. I always forget that piece of it.
Since you have the report, I won't go over verbatim.
Click on that link.
Just the highlights.
Before you start, Carl, I just want to say goodbye to the Scribner family and
Thank you.
Thank you.
thanks for coming in, Dave. It's good to see you after all these years.
It is.
You haven't changed a bit.
Find my way to Manchester often.
Well, if you do, make sure you stop by the farm.
I will.
Okay.
Do that. Thank you very much, everybody.
Congratulations.
Wow.
Okay, Carl, you're on.
Hey. I have no posse tonight, it's just me. So I assume you probably looked over the report, so I won't be redundant. In terms of the MERP money and the MERP program, you probably know this building, this room is insulated. We have heat pump. And Gordon's talking to people about getting the bathroom compliant with ADA. And a fellow named John Dunbar came over a couple of weeks ago or more. And I walked through with him and Gordon and he looked at everything. And he agreed with my initial assessment that based on the audit, based on the visuals, the best solution right now would be to rip out the insulation that's above the drop ceiling and the exterior walls. It's just 3.5-inch fiberglass. So rip that out and foam from above the drop ceiling up that wall to the joint where the roof meets the wall. The energy audit said it's very leaky. That's like one of the main weak spots in the building. So this guy, John, agreed it would make sense to foam that past the joint and up as far as he could reach on the roof. Which probably won't be more than about 4 feet, but it would take care of some of that on the exterior wall and the roof and seal that air leak. So he hasn't gotten back to Gordon yet with an estimate. And the plan is to use that as a basis for an RFP to, bring it out to other contractors. The heat pumps were installed and I love heat pumps. I have one at home. But what I learned years ago from Li-Ling Young at Efficiency Vermont, they're really effective at moderate temperatures. And by really effective, I mean baseboard resistant heat, electric heat. It's like a 1-to-1 ratio. 1 unit of energy in, 1 unit of heat out. The heat pump, if you're talking like 45, 50 degrees, it's like 4-to-1, 5-to-1. So if any unit you go in, you get like 4 or 5 back out. But at below 0, 10 below, it goes down to 1-to-1. It's no more efficient than baseboard heat. And Jim Hand has hammered into me, heat pumps are best with a airtight, well-insulated building. We don't have that. So even doing what I just described, it's going to help. We still need to seal all of the other leaks, like the doors and above the entrance doors. That can be done without a problem. Doing the rest of the roof is a big problem, a really big problem. I don't see how we can do it without like exorbitant expenses. What is possible, and I'd recommend, if there's money left over after doing the exterior wall roof joint, and there should be some left over, one of 2 things. Either put solar panels on the roof, get a huge roof. They would work very well. Or both would be preferable. Insulate the exterior cement block wall on the eave ends. The gable ends, apparently, there is a wall there. I'm not sure if it's insulated, but there are studs, there is sheetrock. You can't see the cement block on the gable wall, but you can see the cement block on both eaves. You know my eaves? Yeah, where the roof comes down. It would be easy to do the eaves compared to the gable ends because of the large overhang. If you notice the gable ends, I don't know why, there's no overhang, nothing. If you put insulation on the outside, you'd have to extend the roof. It gets complicated. But the eave ends, well, Scott's office, Gordon's suite, it would definitely help. The best would be to put the insulation on the outside. That way, the cement block and brick becomes an asset. So the insulation on the outside, the masonry warms up, and it's an asset. Again, if you do that, you have to make a choice. Do you spend more money putting a brick veneer back on so it looks the same? Or do you put the insulation on the inside? Which again is possible. They're both possible. It's not as good, but it's less less noticeable on the outside. The interior is more disruptive to the staff, of course. So, I would lean toward insulating the outside walls. It would definitely help with the heat, and it would help with the physical comfort. Scott's body heat wouldn't be like going out the cement block wall when it's below zero. Now, let me back up. There's a problem with doing the insulating, it'd be spray and foam. Very effective. It's really what should happen, but they can't do it with anybody in the building. And it has to be, I think, a 24-hour after they do it, before anybody can come back in the building. Now, I asked, can you seal off one part? Can Anita's, suite be there, do the other one? He didn't think so. So that's a serious problem. I'm not sure how to deal with that, but it's a problem. It needs to be done, in my opinion, and to figure out logistically how to do it.
Did they have any time frame? How long it would take to actually do that process?
It's a matter of days.
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
expect.
Because they can only work from the outside perimeter. So if you imagine, they would have to pop a couple of the panels off the ceiling and the perimeter, put a ladder up there, pull out the fiberglass, spray the foam in there, move on. I'm impressed with these guys. They're very good. Gordon also very impressed with them. But again, logistically, it's going to be tough. So I'm just going to give you a heads up. It's not going to be an easy process. But again, the thing with heat pumps is they need an insulated building and a tight building, which is why I think my recommendation, strong recommendation, regardless of what's left over from the MERP money, should really think about putting solar panels on the roof, because you're going to need a lot of electricity for the heat pumps, especially with a leaky, maybe it won't be leaky, but not fully insulated building. So if you have solar panels, and my preference would be, go for it, have a backup battery system. So the sun's shining, producing the electricity from the heat pumps, or some of the batteries, and when the sun's not shining, you can still run the heat pumps from the battery. MERP, remember, Municipal Energy Resilience Program. You can't get more resilient than to have your own electric power and storage. So if the grid works out, or there's a problem here and there, the town would be self-sufficient in a way. So anyway, and the other thing that's interesting,
Hold on one second. What's our solar program? What do we do? We're going back into the grid with our current solar field, the hand field.
Those electrons that are generated in that field don't know that they're supposed to come here. They go into the grid and they go wherever the demand is, but we get credit
That's what so we get credit for that.
that.
So we should be offsetting the cost of the
I think
heat pumps to a degree.
the offset, it's like $8,000 or
It's confusing, actually.
yeah, it's hard to figure out, but
I mean, we're already invested in solar,
right?
right?
With the heat pumps, your electric use is going to go way up. which is fine. I mean, lots of fuel and it goes down, you're not going to be paying for oil, but the electric use will go way up.
So what you're proposing is solar panels and a battery storage system. So, and where I was headed with that discussion, those electrons would stay here.
Right.
We'd be using the electricity that we generate rather than putting it into the grid and getting credit and using power out of the grid.
And I know I'm not an expert on this. It probably will still be connected to the grid,
Yeah, it would be. Yeah. It would have.
but you would channel every extra electron you don't put into the heat pumps during the day, you go into the batteries.
And
So-
Carl, I have that at my house. So I have, two 7.5 kilowatt arrays on the house, and it connects to the back to the grid. But I also have two standby batteries that are always maintained at 100%. And there are instances like when this last snowstorm, if for any reason we were to go down, because we use heat pumps for our home, it would use the batteries to a certain capacity, and then it if we were producing anything in solar in excess of the 100%, we get that we sell that back to the grid as well. So it's certainly beneficial and catches us in some very important moments when, for us up here, as you know, on our road, it can very easily, a tree comes down and we might be without power for, a few hours. So I think there is some benefits, and I think the cost of those battery storage systems have come down significantly with the amount of EVs that are coming on the market as well. So
The other thing I was surprised to learn yesterday, I had a conversation with a woman named Debbie New. She's big in the thermal energy network field, but she also knows a lot of other stuff. You probably know the tax credit for residential solar is gone. It's not gone for commercial solar. It's still a 30% tax break for commercial solar, which this would qualify for through 2027.
Well, the thing is, a municipality doesn't pay any taxes, so we don't, if we get a 30% tax break on nothing, it's nothing. If you can get a tax credit, if a corporation get a tax credit, that's a real benefit, but for a government facility, it probably doesn't translate into.
Well, for municipalities, Ivan, is a direct pay system that still is operational. So it's like a myth, fiction that the town owes money, but you basically get a check for 30%, which that's what the direct pay system, how that works. So that's still in effect, not forever, but at least for this year and next. It was really worth thinking about. I put panels on a while ago, and at that point, it was 11-year payback. My perspective now kind of went by fast. 11-year boom. In May, I'll be here 50 years. So, the audit talks about this is not recommended because of more than a 30-year payback. Like, I'm telling you, 30 years, 40 years, it goes by. And this building is very solid. It's not going anywhere. That's one thing, everybody looked at it, the audit, everybody's like, this is a solid building. It's going to be here for a long, long time. So it's not like you're throwing your money away, investing in it. Oh, the other thing that was on there was the thermal energy network. I was disappointed to learn yesterday from Debbie New. If there are only houses, individual houses on the airport road property, it would not be a good idea to do a thermal energy network because we're all using the same load at the same time. It's really good, these networks, hooking up town hall with the ice skating rink. hooking up Burton with Equinox Hotel, or Shaw's supermarket with the housing behind there. That really is what makes sense. I did talk with her engineer, Jared Rodriguez, with the idea that, okay, thermal energy network wouldn't work. But what if you had communal borehole for geothermal? For one house to do it, it's so expensive. You're drilling all these expensive wells. If you remember, we got an estimate from Greg Christensen, instead of putting air source heat pumps here, to put ground source heat pumps. So the air source was 245,000. He came in way before that. And the ground source was 255, but the wells were $145,000. So I'm thinking Airport Road, you do the wells, and then every house would be connected to it. It's like every house could have a ground source heat pump instead of an air source heat pump. And what I learned is that the efficiency of heat pumps decreases with temperature, but a ground source heat pump, the ground's constant. So it's not going to decrease the efficiency. It's always going to be the same, winter and summer, to benefit in both ways. You're not taking 95-degree temperature, trying to cool. You're taking like 50-degree temperature and cooling. So it works both ways. So it's something to think about. And this guy, Jared Rodriguez, the engineer, I'm going to talk more with him about it. And by the way, I introduced Jared to Paul Crocio. And when Jared introduced himself, he said, yeah, I have a degree, civil engineering, architecture, and real estate development. I was like, wow. Paul was impressed. So they'll probably be communicating with each other. That's the good news.
Good.
We hope to build affordable housing there, right? I mean, that's in the Airport Road. And so the increased cost of doing any of these things, ground source heat pump, there's not going to be a network. My feeling is if it's affordable, that means a person living there can pay the mortgage and their bills. When I built my house, I was really lucky, in 1982, I built it for $27,000. When I needed a $5,000 loan, I went to the bank. I'm like, hey, I got $100,000, sitting here, $5,000, yeah. They said, no, we don't even look at that. We don't want to own real estate. They have one criterion for giving a loan: the ability to repay the loan. So if you have an energy efficient house that's costing very little, you could better afford to pay your mortgage. You're not going to have a surprise energy bill, $300-400 a month. Wow. So, again, it makes you think, okay, what's affordable housing?
Those kind of details, of course, the decision will be made by the private enterprise that's doing the actual construction. The town is not going to be constructing anything. We can try to facilitate certain aspects of it, and we can regulate certain aspects of it. But as far as the actual investment, that comes from private sources, and they have to run the numbers and they have to see what makes sense to them.
I don't really understand how the town and the school district, what their interaction is in terms of MEMS and the potential for either an addition or a new building.
Well, it's virtually nothing as far as the interaction goes. Two very separate silos
Well, who owns the land?
But I'm certainly not part of any discussions on that.
Does the town still own the land?
No, the school district owns the land.
Because if and when something happens there, that's a great opportunity for a thermal energy network. That's the kind of a building and the kind of huge construction project that it would make sense. And again, there's a lot of money around for that kind of stuff. I mean, my head's spinning. Talked to Gordon today. It was like chip money, you probably know about that one. Community housing and infrastructure program. A lot of money out there. I never heard of this Northern Border Regional Commission. $100,000 for planning and $1 million for implementation. Jim Hand from the Energy Committee and Debbie New were talking with this guy from BCRC, Jonathan Cooper. And if we put an application in, if it's recommended, it puts us higher on the list as a potential. We're talking serious money here. $1,000 for planning and $1 million for implementation. So these are programs that, again, Debbie knows about. I'm just learning about it. No expert. But I mentioned there's a Gordon, and he's on to some of this. And also Efficiency Vermont is still offering incentives, nothing to do with state or federal, with their own incentive, $2,100 per ton for ground storage heat pumps. So there's still money out there. So that's really about it, other than we are Energy Committee sponsoring a workshop April 23rd at the library. Hopefully the Housing Task Force and the Planning Commission will co-sponsor it. And it won't just be a local show, but try to get Vermont League of Cities and Towns to have someone there, maybe Efficiency Vermont. We're talking about the intersection of housing and energy to see what's possible, both economically, physically, etc. The library from 4:30 to 6 on Thursday, April 23rd. Debbie New will be there. Jared Rodriguez will be there. Anybody who's talked with this guy, Jared, walks away impressed. He knows his stuff. He does. So I invite you all to put that on your agenda. And then, and the Energy Fair is in May 16th at the library also. So I talked a lot. Any questions?
I don't have any, but thank you for all that information and all the hard work that went into.
My head's spinning with all this stuff. All right, well, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Carl.
If you want to follow up, to get actual numbers for things like the solar and the batteries, I'm happy to do that. Just ready to pay. We should. Yes.
All right, Scott, explain to us why we're signing into the PFAS settlement class action lawsuit.
Yeah, so my initial reaction was, not to bother with this, but as you can see from Merrill's email, she recommends we do it just to protect ourselves in the future in case we found some findings that filtered into our water system in the future. But we had it tested. We've had it tested in 2016, 2019, 2020, and then most recently with the EPA in 2024. And none of those tests have found any PFAS. So we've got a clean result, which is great. But she thinks just by joining the lawsuit, it would protect us from any future negative findings. So there's no fee involved.
That was my next one.
Yeah, I mean, they only collect if there's some sort of settlement agreement or settlement fee that we receive, so.
I mean, I know how these things work. If there is a settlement, there's a big number but there's so many.
Mouths to feed.
Yeah, you get $27, but the lawyers make a lot.
Well, look at that opioid settlements. We've been getting triples here and there. Jonathan asked for a number the other day, we're at $40,000. So
Yeah, it's and some of those, that's actually what I do. I develop software for companies that are helping um get these lawsuits together and qualified clients. But what I would say is that I don't know if you also did see that recently the level up for PFAS in water levels in Vermont was just lowered. So the level needs to be lower than it was previously. So this is important that we do sign on to this.
Right, so I mean, in their pitch to get towns to sign up, they're saying, even though you've been testing, you've probably been testing at the so many parts per billion, and yet we're gonna have this lawsuit based on per parts per trillion. But in talking with Chrissy Haskins, we have been testing at the trillion level, so that's good news as far as our water supply is concerned.
So as far as we know, we don't have any exposure there.
We don't, but this could protect us in the future in case we did have some problems.
Does that require an action?
Yeah, it does. We need a motion to sign the resolution and then authorize me to sign the contract for legal services.
So moved.
My question, can it all be in one motion?
Yes, it can.
Apparently it is.
A second, then.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded. Favor say aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous. And we're ready.
Laurie, I've got something for you to sign before you leave today on that, if you don't mind.
Town manager updates.
Department of Public Works has been getting hammered with these storms. And that in effect has been hammering our budget. We have maxed out and gone beyond already in the salt and sand budget with, could be a couple months left in winter. So it's been a struggle.
I thought it was interesting, in one of the more recent storms, they sanded the paved road. I haven't seen them sand the paved road in a long time. Used to happen back when the ice used to build up on it, but I wondered if that was because we were conserving our salt.
I haven't heard that from Jeff, but that may be a route we might have to take. I
There
know
might
other towns.
have been some particular circumstance that it was a better idea to sand than salt, but it was unusual to put sand on a paved road.
And I just wanted to remind the public and the store owners that they're responsible for cleaning up the front of their stores in their homes on their sidewalks. We've got a new sidewalk plow. It's going good, but we just
Keep up.
we can't keep up. And so
Yeah, and
just a reminder.
I think everybody knows that the town has no responsibility to clear the sidewalks. That's not up to the individual landowners. We do it as a matter of course, but our priority has to be the roads and the sidewalks come secondarily. And under Vermont law, it's the landowner who's supposed to clear the sidewalk.
And we have that in our ordinances too, but that doesn't stop them from complaining about it.
No good deed goes unpunished.
Just a reminder for everybody. I talked to the auditors about the unassigned funds. They eventually came back and said, you don't really need a policy in place. The way you're operating now is fine. And so they did not recommend putting a policy in place.
Yeah, I think if we had a policy, we would have to set parameters. And I think the way we do it now has served us well.
Gives us more flexibility. Yeah.
There was one comment that without a policy, it would require voter approval to use those funds.
But if we have it built in the budget like
Well, that's
last year.
that is voter
Their approval, correct.
doesn't do is give us emergency access to it mid fiscal year, should there be a flood or something like that. We'd have to come up with some other.
We could have a special meeting. We could.
There you go.
Have a special meeting. So the FEMA buyout program, which was put together to say, to buy out properties that are flood prone, and then tear them down so there's not an issue in the future with future floods. We just had a closing last week on the 42 to 46 East Manchester Road properties, which is directly across the street from the post office, which has been flooding constantly. And so those 3 pieces of property will be demolished in the next 90 days. And then we'll be the official owners. Apparently we're the interim owners right now. The state has just completed that, the purchase. So we're going through the demolition process with them now.
As we did receive some communication on this from a constituent. This really, we're kind of removed from the transaction. It's not something that the town is doing. It's something that the federal government recommends, that these properties that are flood prone be bought out, so that we're not always dealing with these kind of issues as floods become apparently more prevalent. But this is between the individual landowner and FEMA. It's not something that we're really involved in.
Ivan, in talking to the owner, when we were going through this process, he was telling me about when he first bought it, which was only like 3 years ago. He had flood insurance on all 3 buildings for about $5,000. And then we had a flood event, and we had another one shortly thereafter, but it didn't cause that much damage. But the insurance companies then canceled his or non-renewal, and then placed a policy on each one of the buildings individually with a $5,000 cap per building deduction. So he had a $15,000 deduction, and then his cost of it went up to $17,000. So, I mean, they were going to price him out of it anyways. So it was a smart move. And we got another one in the works. Mark Roberts' property is still in the works. One other thing, we had the water main break on School Street. I was talking to you about, I sent you an email on that today. So the main has been repaired. And we had to notify the state on that. And we've got the tests submitted to the Endyne testing facility. So we had to take 2 tests on 2 different sources along that line. They have to come back positive, and then it'll take 24 hours to come back, and then we can remove the boil of water notice. So everybody on that street still has a boil water notice, but it's only on School Street.
Yeah, I got some questions on that from people in other parts of town, and I said, my understanding is that it's right.
We had all kinds of calls on that today. Even someone from Londonderry was worried about their water. Do they have a water system in Londonderry? I don't think they do.
I don't know.
I think they're on well water, but anyways. And so that's all I've got today.
Is there other business?
I just wanted to bring up this Saturday is the next installment, or the real first community-based installment for the Homes for All project that we're doing with the state, from 9 to 11 in that room. The state will be here holding a design workshop where they're going to start discussing and presenting the 10 plans that they have worked on for the 3 pilot program towns. I've seen the workups already, and I think there's a lot of great stuff. And they're really trying to pull out all the stops in terms of they're calling it like a kit of parts. So, a bathroom for design 1 can fit a bathroom for design 4, and they are working with partners throughout the state that are looking to make as many pieces of this modular as possible, so that we can potentially keep costs down, and every little dollar helps in terms of keeping it affordable. But This is really going to be a hands-on workshop. It's from 9 to 11. There's also a drop-in time if you just want to stop by and just talk about the program, learn more about it. It's from 11 to 12 this coming Saturday. And I just sent the flyer to Katie, Scott, and Gordon, but I'm going to be sending that out, or I'm going to put it out throughout the town and doing a thing on GNAT tomorrow. So I invite you all. It's going to be, I listened to, they did a presentation, I sat in on a presentation with developers and real estate agents throughout the state, including the head of the Vermont Realtors Association. And there was a lot of great feedback coming out of it. So it looks like a real potential successful program that we're getting to be a part of.
Thanks.
Thank you. The only thing that I have is, I was wondering if it would be a good idea to every meeting have an agenda item, an update on the airport process, what if anything's happened or if anything hasn't happened, just so that we're in the loop, and we can keep it on the front burner and have a little discussion if it's necessary. It could be, I mean, most often it would be in open session. There might be something that would need to be an executive session, but I just assumed that.
Yeah, all I can give you right now is that Merrill's been working with Carl Lisman, which is Mr. Crocio's attorney, and they're trying to hammer out the details of the agreement. So you should have something shortly.
And that's a very good update. That's all I asked for. Where
we'll keep it on.
I think we ought to touch on it at every meeting, just to make sure that we keep, and it might be the same next meeting, but I think we just need to keep it on there and keep it moving.
Okay.
Agreed.
Where are we in the tier 1B3 or whatever that's called thing?
Did you see the email I sent out today?
I did.
No.
You did, okay.
That was the tier 3.
Yeah, so there was an update on that
I didn't
very
see it.
question.
The state has pushed the deadline, or when they anticipate that they'll be ready to roll this out.
They're asking, the legislature is working on a bill to try to push it out. They're trying, because it's being rushed. They feel it's being rushed. And they feel like they've got a great response from communities such as us willing to sign up as a tier 1B program, but the amount of land is being reduced to about 2% on their tier 1B eligibility. And then there's the new road rule, which is supposed to go into effect if it's 250 feet away from the main road or something, and it goes beyond that. So they're trying to put the brakes on it a little bit so they can get a better handle on it. I'll resend that to you, because I thought I sent it to everybody.
You sent it today.
Yeah,
I did send it today, but I don't know why Heidi didn't get it. Maybe I just sent it to you, Ivan. I don't know. I thought I sent it to all, but I will check.
And they were looking at a June date on this.
Yeah, and they're still they still don't have all the details, and they're still collecting input, but the regional planning commissions are pointing out these serious facts of omission that the land use board is not really dealing with, and they're just kind of rushing headlong forward. So VLCT, among other organizations that are asking for the legislature to tweak this with a new bill and have it slow down for a year or two. So they work the details out.
Yeah.
I'll resend that tomorrow anyways, just make sure you get it.
Is that it?
Yeah.
I think we're done.
I'd like-
Oh, next meeting, February 17th, 7 o'clock. We don't need an executive session.
To make a motion to adjourn.
Second. That was a quick second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you all for attending.
Good night, everyone.